Hi everyone, it's Cindy. Welcome back to Studioloo. I'm here today with a flip through of my latest journal. This is The Magic of Winter. So this is an accordion folding journal. It's a lot of fun. So it opens on both sides. So I will walk you through the process, but this has a lot going on. So let's talk about it. If you were following my Defemorember playlist, you would have seen me do this bookbinders art binding on here, and you'd have a bit of a clue to how it's bound. But if not, that's fine. Just come along for the ride here. So the front of this journal is closed with this lovely navy blue. It is seam binding, and it's here and over here because it has a different kind of binding. So if you were to just tie it on this side, it would open on that side still. So I wrap it around to tie it closed. You can see lots of fun things kind of coming at the top here, including these metal bits, which are a part of these vintage file folders. But let me explain the cover first, I guess. So the cover was made with this beautiful Snow Queen image from a vintage children's book. And I have embossed the whole thing with holographic embossing. And I've done this overheat technique that I have around her face that creates this kind of rainbow halo that looks almost like when you see oil that is pooled in water on like the pavement or something, it's that kind of an effect. So it both makes the image more visible and it also just creates that gorgeous rainbow. So the whole thing is holographic and sparkly. Then this is from a vintage wedding dress, and it has holographic sequins on it. And there are 3 of these that go through the book. They're part of the binding of the book. So we have eyelets here to put the ties in, and then the binding here is all beaded with Swarovski crystals, both here and at the back over here, where you see there's another one of these. So this journal got started with me using 5 vintage heavy-duty file folders that have these are metal, and this is plastic here, and there's like a letter inside. Some of them just have white inside them, but they're all kind of the same format. Then I put an eyelet here with this loop that has these fun Swarovski crystals and this extremely beautiful cut glass or stone. I think it's stone actually. It was from some jewelry that I took apart. It's a beautiful piece. I think it's some kind of a crystal, but yeah, it's really pretty. I don't know exactly what it is because it was thrifted. So let's open this up and we'll take a look. So I think you will notice there's a theme of kind of Snow Queen, magical winter and nature in the winter time, which I think is a really lovely kind of combination. Now, the other part of this journal is that it is a design team project for the Junk Journal Studio, because I have used her winter collage and cluster Megapack to do a lot of the ephemera in here. So I will link down below to that really beautiful kit that you can download and create with. So the first page here, the cover, you'll notice these pockets. These have metal eyelets in them, and they're part of the folder as well. This was actually the bottom of these folders, so I cut them off and used them as pockets. And this label here is from the kit. And this is just a little fun journal tag that I made. And this first page has this beautiful owl in the snow, and this is actually a flip out, and this little moon here behind a tree. We made a pocket with that, and then I made this journal card with labels from the Junk Journal Studios kit, and then this is actually Jan Brett from a Jan Brett book. She does such beautiful winter illustrations, so I cut this from one of her books to make that tag. And then we have this deer here. And over here we have some of my rusty carbonized paper with these beautiful leaves. And for me, this feels very icy and wintry. And then another little label from the Junk Journal Studio. Cabbage dyed paper is the primary writing paper in this book. Another snowy cabin scene and a little wolf there with its shadow in the snow. some majestic flying like reindeer white dogs that are going up toward the moon. More cabbage dyed paper, and our Snow Queen here holding on to this little boy. A little bunny in the snow. And then we have this little snow, there's like cougar, snow lion. And then this is a label here with this beautiful owl. Is from the Junk Journal Studio. And then this is actually like a vintage pocket from a very old book. And it's a library card pocket. And it has the original library card inside. The back is blank, so you can write on it. But I just love this. It's really, really fun and old. More cabbage dyed paper, some nice blue paper, the other side of that rusty carbonized leaf paper. And then this is this like a snow ghost, kind of the Snow Queen's ghost flying through this town. And then this beautiful snow-laden tree with these like stars on top, just a beautiful wintry scene. And this is one of several collage style tags where I wanted to make that an element of this book. These kind of curiosity cabinet looking curiosa sort of tags. So lots of labels from the Junk Journal Studio are used here. A couple of bunnies and a couple of stamps of winter birds. And then over here, this lovely Snow Queen image from a book. And another of these tags, so these ones I made during Junk Journal Round Robin. So again, the same kind of collaging going on. These are Tracy Fox labels though, because I was making them from something sent to me by Mary Ellen of Red Parrot, and which were those labels. And then I've also taken bits of these penguins, bits and bobs from this really beautiful field guide to like Arctic expedition. And yeah, it made a really nice tag, and it has this fun eyelet holding some really pretty fabric from Shell's Creative Chaos. Then we have another label from the Junk Journal Studio kit, and you'll see here an envelope that's glued down with some gray trees, and there's another one of those metal labels from the original folder. So these folders, I've treated them with oxide, so they're really beautiful, and yeah, I like them a lot, how they turned out. Then this Spirits of Lavender label is from the Junk Journal Studio on this gray tree envelope. So you flip open the envelope, and not from that side. I always cut my envelopes open on the other side, not always, but most of the time, because it's way easier to get ephemera in and out. And this is just a really fun image from a Snow Queen book, and she's up in the sky here being pulled by those dogs. I think they're going up into the sky, part of her magical story. And these are labels from the Junk Journal Studio as well. We made this little cluster pocket to hold on to this little snowy bunny out in the wintertime in his full white coat. This is from Release the Craftin', from one of her witchy kits. It was a little scrap that I had left over from a journal that I have made in the past. And here you also see a hint on the binding with these little eyelets here. And then another of the labels there, and you see the oxide treatment. And then another of the tags in that kind of, display or cabinet card type, cabinet curiosity kind of way. So this is paper from the Junk Journal Studio from the kit, as well as all these labels and little pieces. And then I just added one of our little winter birds from the Arctic Expedition book there. And this is where the eyelet is that holds on to that lovely stone on the front of the book. So then next signature, we come to a place where the two signatures will meet, but we don't have any paper in this part. This is just a little folio space. So we have this from the Junk Journal Studio. It does flip up. And then another of those beautiful wedding dress sequined beautiful pieces. Then this is a little tuck spot made from a Jan Brett book, and this is another of our beautiful winter story images of this girl on like a caribou riding through the winter sunset. Then this little snowflakes label here is from the Junk Journal Studio. This is a collage tag that I made. This is from the cover of one of the wintry children's books, so it's glossy and it has these snowflakes in this cabin. It's quite pretty. Then we have some fun trim here. It's white and it's kind of pearly and textured. And then cabbage dyed paper, blue paper, a little label from the Junk Journal Studio kit. And this is a little girl out here in her bare feet in the snow in the woods talking to this little crow. A little more winter magic going on. Some more rusty carbonized oak leaves on watercolor paper. And this cluster here is made from the Junk Journal Studios cluster kit. We flip this out and we have this little otter here in this wintry snowy scene, and then it flips back in, and this is a very fun cottage core honeysuckle tea journal card, and that just is like a little warm up inside the book. We have this raccoon here in the snow and some more cabbage dyed paper. There's our raccoon again. He's running with his shadow there. And the otter looking down at the ice. Some more of the oak leaves, rusty carbonized oak leaves. Cabbage dyed paper. And we have here the little girl and the reindeer. And this was like a grandmother figure. And they're all kind of huddled down in the snow. And then we have another blue page. This was just cut from a book. It's just a beautiful snowy scene. And cabbage dyed paper. And here we have the little girl running through these snowy trees with all these white birds. And this little tuck spot here, we have a couple of wintry bird stamps from the Antarctic, and another of the metal labels at the top there. And this was cut from a book. It is like an antique drawing of like a wolf, and some labels here. And on this side, this is like a very celestial kind of image, drawn again, I believe, by, yes, Jan Brett. And this is a little label from the Junk Journal Studio. So is that one. And then these are Tim Holtz pieces, and I added some nice background there to make a fun journal card. Very wintry scene. And then another of these fun pieces that are set up like a bit of a museum, and the winter birds, and this one I used as a tip out with rusty carbonized paper there as the seam, and it tips back in. And then we flip over to the next little folio where the two meet again here, and we have this pocket that's been collaged with this lovely polar bear image from Jan Brett and images from the Junk Journal Studio kit. A celestial bear, and the paper here and the labels as well as the backing, those are all from the Junk Journal Studios kit. And a little tuck spot again, Junk Journal Studio components, and a little penguin. And inside this tuck, we have this lovely owl just kind of peeking at us. It's a little cottage core journal card. And over here, another little label from the Junk Journal Studio with this lovely eyeleted pocket. And then this tag has some fun organza here, and these very lovely images. This is some beautiful paper back here. I completely forget how I created it. So I think it's rice paper. Then more cabbage dyed paper, and here's another beautiful image of a snow queen from a book. And then we have a little collage here with this winter bird and the Junk Journal Studios label, and more cabbage dyed paper and this wolf here in the snow. More rusty carbonized paper, watercolor paper, and this little boy in the snow. He's part of the Snow Queen story. A little tuck spot made from Junk Journal Studio, and it is part of this flip out here. We have a bunny in the snow, and on this side we have the trees, and we have a porcupine going into a little tree knot there. And then this journal card that fits in here, the back and the front are both paper from Junk Journal Studio, as is the label. And I've added this owl from a vintage book. I want to say not Robert Bateman, but somebody like him. Another nature illustrator. More of the cabbage dyed paper, and then this little wintry fox here. This is a Inukshuk. This is from a book called like People of the Wind, and it's about all of these stone Inukshuks and structures that basically last for a very long time through all conditions, and these rocks just stay put. And in here I have, this is a 49 in Market, beautiful piece of paper. I love to tuck these in from time to time. I tend to hoard them, but I do use them in some of the books. And then we have another cluster pocket here from the Junk Journal Studios pieces. And this is like a ferret in the winter time, or a weasel maybe, and a wintry scene here. And then in this tuck spot, we have this beautiful bear, and it's got just this lovely, florals on the back that I think you could write right on top of. So it's just a little piece of stationery, and it was cut from a nature illustration book as well. More rusty carbonized leaf paper, a Jan Brett page with that lovely polar bear, and on the back, the bit of the cabin. And then another of the pieces that I've structured like a little museum, and these are all pieces from the Junk Journal Studio except for that winter bird, and it's a tuck spot for this journal card, also made from the Junk Journal Studios pieces, and I've added these two birds here. Another cluster from the Junk Journal Studio on this Jan Brett celestial kind of winter magic paper. And then this is another little cottagecore bunny journal card. More cabbage dyed paper, a little tuck spot Junk Journal Studio bird there. And this is like a very lovely dreamscape kind of image. It's pointillist. It has a stamp here and some fabric stitched atop. Felt very wintry to me as well. So now we're to the end of the book, right? Wrong. We flip over and we have this folio here with this image of a cabin from Jan Brett. And over here we have this pocket here. This image, this paper is from the Junk Journal Studio, and this is cut from the Antarctic exploration book. Junk Journal Studio, little fun piece of stationery. Cabbage dyed paper. And then there's a wolf, and this is a tip out. We see our owl looking down into the forest here. And more cabbage dyed paper. And here we have this little child holding on to a crow under this snowy forest, and more cabbage dyed papers, a journal, Junk Journal Studio label, and this beautiful deer. More rusty carbonized paper, this lovely caribou in this very cold wintry scene, and another label from Junk Journal Studio. This was cut from a book of images by Klimt. Sorry, it took me a moment. Gustav Klimt. And one of two of them. And I just felt like there were these kind of like wintry, kind of ghosty souls. Like they feel like ethereal to me. So I wanted to include them. Another snowy fox, and that bobcat again, and then this is another of the celestial images with the polar bear and the starry bear from Jan Brett. More rusty carbonized paper, and we have here a beaver in the snow swimming, and then just a fallen leaf at the base of this tree. Another Jan Brett pocket, and then a little Cecily Mary Barker photo flower fairy. This is the Chicory Fairy from Flower Fairies of the Wayside, 1948. And another Jan Brett page, and more cabbage dyed paper. A little deer in the snow. and this kind of cabin scene. And then another junk journal studio label on this pocket. And then this is more of the folder. And then this is entirely covered in this fun organza fabric and this wolf and this moon and some gold. And it's just altogether a lovely tag. And then we flip over again and we have another of these dreamy journal cards again, pointillism and some stamps and a label from the Junk Journal Studio. And this is actually from a calendar. So on the back, you still have the calendar here, and you can write on this. I left it as is. You could cover it, but I know I kind of like to have these sort of things in my journals, and I just kind of do writing. Like, then more cabbage dyed paper and this snowy cabin scene. It's a tip out with this tree, and there's the owl in full flight. More rusty carbonized leaves. And this is from the cover of one of the wintry books, and it flips out, writing paper on the back, and I've clipped in with a little Tim Holtz clip here, this lovely little bird. It's on this blue paper, and it's a really pretty illustration from a nature book. So that just clips up there to keep that all together. And this is another Snow Queen image of these beautiful birds, the Snow Queen and her sleigh with the little one there. This is some hand-dyed paper, logbook paper. Here's the Snow Queen. More cabbage-dyed papers and the other Klimt ethereal spirit there. More cabbage-dyed paper, Snow Queen, logbook, and then a lynx. And this is the Beaver's Dam. This is another Antarctic scene that makes this little tuck spot. And this is a dear little fox tag. This is from like a beautiful old 1940s book. And I made this little index card, journal card with it. Another beautiful wintry children's book image. And more rusty carbonized leaves. And the Snow Queen. The back side of that calendar page with more beautiful winter. And this is like a really fun textured paper. It's got like a woven texture. And then we're here and we have this little bird, blue bird tag, and we're in the tuck spot at the very end of the book. So when we flip it back over, now we're finally back to the beginning. So in order to close this book, you just grab this and this. You come around opposite, right? From that side, and then from this side, and then you tie it in a bow however you would like. So I honestly loved making this book. I think I'm going to do more of this kind of journal. This was a learning experience. It was a lot of fun for me. I love the theme as well. It turned out really beautifully. So I'm happy to share it with you, and I'm starting to get my voice back from laryngitis. So if you're interested in this book and you're seeing this video, that means it has gone up to my shop. You can find links to my Etsy shop and my Patreon down below. All of my journals do go to my Patreon first. And the best way to follow my posts on Etsy is to just follow me on Etsy, and then you'll get a notification in your little drop down of everything new, and you'll see my journals and digitals go up there. So thank you again for hanging out with me and seeing this slip through, and have a lovely day. Bye for now.